Good morning, children. Welcome back to the English online class of Sri Gokulam Public School, Guruvayur. I hope all my dear children are making the best use of this online class, being at home. So be safe and stay at home. Let's move to our English lessons. In the last class, we discussed the poem Kite. The Kite, written by Harry Benn. We discussed the first part of the poem. Today we will discuss the second part of the poem, or the last part of the poem. So did anyone try flying kites after going through a poem, after reading the poem? Even though you haven't flown, you might have seen flying kites. There are many occasions or events in India which is associated with kite flying. On Independence Day, North Indians used to fly kites. Usually they do it. In my childhood days also, I have seen my peer groups or my brothers flying kites. Even though I haven't flown kites, but I have seen them flying kites. It's such a wonderful sight to see it. Then I have read it in a book also, in a book titled The Kite Runner, written by Khalid Hussaini. In that book also, the narrator, he celebrates that moment, kite flying moment. It is such an event there, even in Afghanistan. Okay, let's come back to our lesson, the poem written by Harry Benn. So in the first part, we told that the poet is describing the beauty of the kite, is admiring the beauty of the kite. The kite, it looks so bright, so beautiful, so colorful when it is very new. And when it flies in the air, in the blue sky, it looks more beautiful. It's such a wonderful sight to see. Then he describes the movement of the kites. He says that it makes several dives and dips. The first flight may not be very smooth, so it makes several dives and dips in order to fly. It uses both force and it also moves gently together. Then he compares the movement of the kite to the movement of a ship. Just like a ship, when it floats on the waters, it flows along with the fall and rise, or rise and fall of the waves. Just like that, the kite also makes several movements. It also dives and dips in the air. The first flight, it may be difficult for the kite. Then it soars like a ship. It flies high. It rises so high and tries to reach the crest. Crest means topmost point. With a gust. Gust means sudden rush of wind, or with the force of the wind, and pulls forward. So with the help of the wind, it moves forward. Then the poet says that it may, when the wind falls, when there is no wind or the wind hasn't force, at that time we feel like the kite is still in the air. It flies still, or it is still. It lays still in the air. We feel that the kite is not moving, and we feel like it is taking rest in the air when there is no wind. So we stop till there. Let's move to the next part. So when the string goes slack, you wind it back. String means the thread to which the kite is attached. When the string goes slack means loosen, when the string gets loosened, or when the string gets loose. When the string goes slack, you wind it back. Wind it means you coil it or you roll it back and run until a new breeze blows. Breeze means gentle wind, soft wind, not like the gust. Gust, it is sudden wind, wind with a force, but the breeze is gentle, smooth wind. So when the wind falls, the kite becomes loose, or the string gets loosened. When the string gets loosened, what does the flyer do? The flyer, the person who's flying the kites, what does he do? He runs along with the kite and tries to roll it back. He tries to roll the thread back to make the kite so tight in the air. And he waits, and the flyer, the person who flies a kite, he waits till a new breeze blows, till that gentle wind comes. And with the gentle wind, it again rises high. Its wings get filled up, the wings of the kite. It gets filled up and up it goes. And again it goes high into the air. It soars high into the air. How beautiful is a kite when it is new. How bright on the blue is a kite when it's new. Then the poet says that, but a ragdagger thing you never will see. And the poet says that, after that suddenly, if a kite, if it struck on a tree, if it hit on a tree, or let it be anything, it might be a pole or anything, if it strikes on a tree or hits on a tree, it looks, or its wings get torn, it tear apart. The wings, the body of the kite, it tear apart, it gets torn or tattered. So when it is torn, it is not such a good thing to look at. You never will see, means you will not like to look at such a thing. It becomes a ragdagger thing, a worn out thing. What do you mean by worn out? Worn out means if something is overused, take in case of your dress. If you wear a dress regularly, it becomes so worn out. Out of overuse, it becomes so old. It looks so old. That dress looks so old. Similarly, this kite, when it's struck on a tree, it becomes a ragdagger thing. It becomes so worn out or torn. So that's how the poet ends the poem. At the end, if it's struck on a tree, it becomes so bad thing to look at. It becomes such a bad thing. All the beauty is lost. All the attractive is lost. This case can also be taken in case of human beings. Even in the life of the human beings, during our childhood days or in our childhood days, we look so attractive, so vibrant, so active. But when we become old, we become so unattractive. We will not be liked by everyone. But as a child, we will be loved by everyone. So it can be compared to a human life also. And in this poem, the poet, he uses a figure of speech, simile. What do you mean by simile? Simile is comparing two things which have similar qualities. Here, the movement of the kite is compared to the movement of a ship. How is the movement compared? Just like a ship floats with the rise and fall of the waves, the kite also makes dives and dips in the air. So, even though the kite and the ship both are different things, its qualities are compared. One of its qualities are compared. Similar qualities are compared. And we introduce simile in the poem or any sentences with like or as. For example, my little brother is as playful as kitten. See, I use the word as playful as kitten. Means he is so playful. And it is compared to a kitten. Or my mother sings like an angel. So the voice of my mother is compared to the voice of nightingale or any bird. So if you introduce the words like or as, it becomes simile. We introduce the word like or as in order to compare the similar qualities of two things. It is called a simile. He ran as fast as a lightning. Again, I have compared the movement of a person or the movement of a person to a lightning. So that's how you use similes. So I hope you understood what is a simile and you also understood the poem clearly. So try to work out the activities given in your text. You have to list out the action words or identify the action words from the poem. Just like source, dive, dip, flies. So you have to identify such words from the poem. The second activity is based on simile. Some sentences are given in your text. You have to complete those sentences. And that is the activity based on simile. So that's all for today. Let's wind up the session. See you in the next class.